Today's book is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. And I consumed it in audiobook read by Jennette McCurdy. So I thought that was the best way to read it. And since I was modeling this week and I listened to it in 2 days while I was doing my modeling job. It's very short. It's only 6 hours, something long. So the title is sort of, salacious, enticing, scandalous in a way. But in fact, it's a chronicle of extreme love by a daughter for the mother. A innocent love of a baby, a child who is going along with whatever mother wants, and agreeing with mother when mother says, "We want this. This is your life wish, isn't it, to become an actor?" It's a classic stage mother sort of story. And a stage mother story that we hear about are usually the stage mother stories in which the child has some kind of success. And in this case, Jennette McCurdy did, after many years, I mean, it takes half the book before she gets cast on iCarly. And basically her career is really taking off with that. And I think, since it is half the book, it doesn't, really recount all the work that went into that, all that time, from whenever she was, 6 or whatever, till her teen years when she got cast in iCarly. So she did a lot of work. She does mention acting classes and dancing classes and all this stuff that she had to do that she didn't want to do. She didn't like acting. And later she gave it up a few years ago when she was able to decide for herself and when she was free of a Netflix show that she was on for a couple of seasons. Now, I've never seen her act. I haven't watched iCarly. I don't have cable, so I don't see Nick. So, but that doesn't matter. One can read the book, whether one has seen her work or not. It might even be better if one didn't, because we know the terrain. We know what it's all about, and we know what those shows basically are like without really watching them. So there's no point in having to look at it, especially for an old man like me. So she does achieve a good deal of fame. Oh, the family is not really well off, so that is also part of the picture, that the family is not well off, and so actually they're kind of pulling for her to have some success, to bring in income, which she eventually does. And then there's the pressure of really supporting the family on top of everything else that is involved with an acting job, a series acting job, which is a lot of work. Long days, then having to learn your lines afterwards for the next day. And it keeps going and going and going. It's a grind, and it's kind of horrible. So, as I said, her mother also had cancer. So, sometime when she was very young, I guess when she was 6 or something. Anyway, her mother had cancer, and these children, and her mother always wanted to be an actress. So. Basically, this is what, the child also filling out the mother's dreams, doing what the mother was not capable of doing because of the situation with her life. As far as the parents go, there is a big reveal toward the end of the book, which tells another tale about her mother and how her mother, although she treated Jennette as her best friend, she kept some rather serious secrets from the girl until, well, after she died, and she found out something that was really quite significant. But I guess you can read the book to find that out. Yeah, I know this is a big popular book. It was all over the booktube last year, I guess, or 6 months ago, whenever it was. And actually, I saw an article today about the New York City public libraries and what books are popular, what books are the most read. And actually, this book in the Brooklyn system was number 1 of the books. I think it was in Manhattan as well, but partway down, fifth down the list or something. So that's indicative of how popular the book is. I think partly because of the salacious title, and I don't know if it's all iCarly fans that are reading it. So showbiz, yeah, she's thrust into this completely artificial environment of stardom. Now, what is modern stardom? This is something that did not exist before the technology of moving pictures. The very first moving picture international stars were like Charlie Chaplin. And that was only, a little over 100 years ago. So this being an actor and becoming a star and well known to millions of people is a total manifestation of the technology of electronic media. And it's created a lot of problems, actually. One, what it's done to the acting profession, where maybe back in the old days there was more theater companies touring the country, and jobs like that. Vaudeville performers could get in. Performers could be doing any number of things, which they still can to a degree, but not as much. Live performance is quite down, especially since COVID and so forth. But it's all been going on after moving pictures and then talkies and on television at home. And so the stars are brought into people's homes. And we've all been affected by this. Of course, when we do see a star of the stage or screen, we take note, So, but as far as they go, I mean, she was not this whatever Susan and Susanna character that she played on iCarly. She was just who she was, and so her fame was based on an illusion of this other person and these lines written for her. And so the acting world is all, it's death or glory, basically. It's feast or famine. It's get on a series or struggle, basically. And I've had some experience with acting myself. Now, I'll talk about how she walks away from acting, and I had mixed feelings about acting myself, because I started acting. I thought, I want to be an actor when I was a young man, and I was during high school. I was involved with community theater at the Canton Players Guild in Canton, Ohio, where I grew up. So I was in plays, several plays, during my high school years with adults in this theater company, and would run longer run plays, and I was good at it. It was something that I could do. So I thought I would end up being an actor. And here in New York, I hesitated. I got involved in a band, and did a bunch of other things, and only in my 50s did I really start looking into acting, and did a lot of background extra. Oh, so they talk about background roles. That's how she started, working in background and being selected out of background, out of extras, into a leading role. This is Jennette McCurdy in the book. I was not selected to become a leading role out of background, but I did do some other roles in student films and some other things. And ultimately, it was easy for me to walk away from acting. I mean, I like to do it sometimes, but I especially like to do it with some friends in New Jersey that were making some interesting little short comedies, which I could get behind. So much of it, and as Jennette McCurdy says when she talks about acting and the negatives of acting, it's like, well, first you have to get the roles, and you don't get the role that you particularly want. You get the role that you get, and it's written by someone else. And so you're not saying your words, you're saying someone else's words, and the director is telling you where to stand. So it's all these different steps away from being what you want to do and being yourself, and being it's such a collaborative art that it's so far away from the one particular artistic experience. That's why it's so odd that people revere screen actors so much and go crazy for it. Partly is relying on the hype of the industry to keep it all going, but they think it's movie acting is such a big, wonderful, difficult thing to do, and I don't really think so. So much illusion goes into the whole picture, and it's all done in little takes and so forth. So she talks about how she could step away from acting, and she did. Her mother died when she was still on the series, I guess, or one of those series. I think she was in her 20s by the time her mother died. My mother died when I was 26. I just turned 26. So, but I didn't have that kind of a relationship with my mother. I have a friend who had that kind of a more enmeshed experience with her mother, and she became her mother's best friend. I think she got a lot out of that, as Jennette got a career out of what she did with her mother. Even though she was reluctant to do it, she found some sort of financial security, and I'm sure she's making a lot of money out of the book, for one thing, and not to, and the acting roles she did before, SAG-AFTRA, whatever. So, and she has such a loyalty to her mother, even after her mother does die, and she's seeing a therapist because she's starting to drink too much, and she's anorexic because of her mother, or has eating disorders because her mother wanted her to stay little, so she could get the young roles, and because if you're a little older and you can play younger, you're going to be better at playing younger. You're going to be easier to direct. You might be old enough to get past certain work permit rules and work longer hours, things like that. So when her breasts started emerging, her mother put her on a diet to restrict calories, so she would stay smaller. So that brought on this sort of anorexia. And when her mother dies and she's seeing this therapist, the therapist asks her several questions, and when her therapist suggests that her mother was abusive, that's when she cuts off the relationship. She stops. She stays loyal to the mother even up to that point. So it's not like a book about somebody who's waiting for their mother to die and is glad their mother died when she did. She had a lot of cancer scares, so it was a long ordeal of moms going back in the hospital for a while. So there's that. But no, the tone of the book is just what they did together, and what all happened, and it's not really about her loathing her mother at all. She never really says that, and she never really says in the text of the book that I'm glad my mom died. That's just only on the cover. As I think what really was a smart marketing move to do that. Even though she's quite glad to be out of the yoke of the slavery of the cult of mom. It's like I read these cult things, and everything I'm reading now seems like a cult book, like the Alan Dulles book with the CIA. The CIA is a cult, and other cults that I read about before, and her mother is narcissistic and is a leader of this cult of one, her and Jennette, and they are a team together, and it's a little sick, and it's a little bit abusive to the child, especially when she's regulating the amount of calories taken in, and making her work all the time. It's child labor, so it's an interesting book. I'm glad my mom died, and I'm glad I listened to it. I can't say it's the greatest book in the world, and it gives a certain insight into a showbiz character and what goes into it all, and what they really think of it. People working in the business, like what the actors think of what they're doing. Like she says that she just doesn't want to work on these crappy shows. And that's how I felt about acting too. It was like, okay, I was getting sent up to some serious things, like on NBC crime. Gotham was one of them, and it's like, okay, so I don't watch these shows. Do I really want to be on them? I didn't really want to be on them. I didn't want it enough. I didn't want that kind of acting enough to persist with it. So that's why I'm an art model, which is kind of a performance thing in itself. But I'm just sitting there or standing there in this pose, looking at the wall, and in a way, I have more control over the content of what I'm doing, and it feels a little more wholesome and real. Whereas all that thing about trying to get on television, trying to get to the other side of the television, it's a strange game, and there are things to win out of it, but there are a lot of things to lose. And when it's not your game personally, if you don't decide, of course, does free will exist? Yeah, I don't know. Was it free will that I wanted to be an actor when I was younger, or just the circumstance of how I was living and how my parents were living, and comparing what I saw on TV to how my parents lived? And her parents, her dad worked at Home Depot, and her grandfather also lived with them, and he worked at Disneyland. This is LA, so they were hard, and the mom is kind of crazy. She's chasing the father figure out of the house a lot with a knife, and things like that. They don't have a good relationship. So yeah, I'm glad my mom died. So thanks for watching. Subscribe. I should tell people to subscribe, because I have been getting a lot of views. And so like and subscribe, because, maybe I can make money out of this or something. I don't know. Is that worth pursuing? Probably not, like anything else. Is anything worth pursuing? Is anything worth pursuing at my age? Is anything worth bothering with?